Chris Simon spent more than 15 seasons in the NHL as a feared enforcer, racking up a total of 111 fights and countless blows to his head in the process. On March 18, 2024, he tragically took his own life. Despite mounting evidence linking head trauma and hockey players to chronic traumatic encephalopathy, simply known as CTE, the NHL appears shockingly steadfast in denying any connection. In today's video, we delve into the dangers the NHL faces by disregarding the glaring warnings signaled by Simon's death and the many players before him. Let's dive in. Now, let's start out by stating that the NHL didn't lack compassion when Chris Simon tragically took his own life. Tributes poured in from various hockey entities expressing grief and sympathy. However, what's notable is the silence from the league regarding any discussion on the potential link between CTE and the deaths of Simon and other NHL enforcers. Despite evidence suggesting a connection, the NHL maintains its stance that head injuries sustained during play aren't definitively linked to CTE later in life. CTE disproportionately affects NHL enforcers like Simon, contributing to the reluctance of other professional leagues and much of the international hockey community to condone player-on-player violence. In many leagues, fighting results in immediate ejection from the game. However, in the NHL, fighting is not only accepted, but often results in just a major penalty, allowing players to return to play. In today's workplaces, employers are expected to take all reasonable measures to protect employees from harm and provide compensation when injuries occur. While eliminating head injuries entirely from NHL play may be unrealistic due to the nature of the sport, a significant portion of these injuries could be prevented by banning fighting. If the NHL isn't willing to take that step, they should at least ensure that enforcers understand the long-term health risks associated with their role. The NHL reaps substantial profits from the physicality of its players, whether through body checks or fights, which often lead to pain and suffering. However, once players like Chris Simon are no longer active, the league distances itself, ignoring responsibility for their well-being. A poignant example is Steve Montador, who tragically passed away at 35 years old and was found to have CTE during his autopsy. Despite suffering numerous concussions and engaging in frequent fights during his 10-year NHL career, the league denies any accountability for his fate. In the lawsuit brought forth by the Montador family against the NHL in 2015, seeking compensation for the loss of their son, the league argued that it bore no responsibility for Steve Montador's injuries or health issues. The NHL claimed it had no obligation to conduct research on head injuries, inform players about such research, or refrain from promoting violence. Despite ongoing legal proceedings, the Montador family awaits the trial. In fairness to the NHL, while it hasn't formally acknowledged the link between concussions and CTE, it has implemented the Concussion Evaluation and Management Protocol. Additionally, the league has taken measures to reduce concussions by cracking down on headshots. Fighting in the NHL has been on the decline, with fewer enforcers each year. According to data from Hockey Fights, there were 219 fights reported by the end of February this season, with an estimated 63 more expected before the playoffs, totaling 282. This marks a significant decrease from the 789 fights recorded in the 2003-04 season, representing a 200% drop over 2 decades and a notable decrease from the 645 fights seen as recently as 2010-11. Regarding concussions, a study published in JAMA in late 2023 revealed that after the implementation of Rule 48, which prohibits direct hits to the side of players' heads, the rate of concussions caused by such hits decreased from 1.6 concussions per 100 games to 1 per 100 games. However, despite this reduction, the overall number of concussions in the league has risen. In 2018, the NHL settled an out-of-court class action lawsuit filed in Minnesota for $18.9 million. The lawsuit involved 30 retired players who claimed the NHL didn't adequately protect them from head injuries or inform them of the associated risks. Interestingly, the NHL spent $70.9 million on the lawsuit, nearly 4 times the amount paid to the plaintiffs without admitting any liability. Concussions have also presented challenges for other leagues, such as the NFL, evolving into a significant public relations concern. These leagues have made efforts to address the issue, recognizing its potential negative impact on long-term business prospects, particularly evident in the declining registration rates among young football players. Hockey is witnessing a similar trend. The cost of enrolling children in the sport is a significant barrier, but another challenge is the growing concern among parents about the risk of concussions. Many parents hesitate to enroll their kids in hockey, knowing there's a genuine risk of head injuries. Consequently, minor hockey leagues are experiencing declining enrollment rates. Any sport that loses popularity among youth risks losing its future fan base. The NHL must adopt a long-term perspective and become a guardian of the game. One essential step is to prioritize efforts to reduce head injuries significantly. Despite Gary Bettman's assertions that head injuries in hockey and football are not comparable due to differences in contact levels, studies have consistently shown that both sports have high rates of concussions. Bettman, as the NHL commissioner, has a responsibility to protect the financial interests of team owners, which may involve denying the link between head injuries and CTE and refusing to accept responsibility for players suffering from the disease. However, this stance doesn't align with the ethical imperative to safeguard the well-being of players, especially considering that many of them may endure a life of suffering due to CTE, despite being instrumental in generating profits for team owners. Despite Gary Bettman's claims to the contrary, the evidence supporting a link between head trauma in hockey and CTE is compelling. For instance, a 2022 study conducted by Dr. Jesse Mez of Boston University's CTE Center found that each year of ice hockey play may increase the odds of developing CTE by 23%, although the absolute risk remains uncertain. Additionally, a study published in the spring of 2023 by the Journal of the American Medical Association Network revealed that NHL enforcers with 50 or more career fights or 3 or more penalty minutes per game had a significantly higher likelihood of dying 10 years earlier, often due to drug overdose or suicide, compared to age-matched NHL player controls. These findings underscore the urgent need for the NHL to acknowledge the risks of head injuries in hockey and take proactive measures to protect its players' long-term health. If academic research isn't enough to sway the NHL on the connection between head injuries in hockey and the development of CTE, then the autopsies of players definitively diagnosed with the condition should be compelling evidence. One such case is Derek Boogaard, who tragically passed away at the age of 28 in 2011, with the cause of death being an overdose of oxycodone and alcohol, substances he used to cope with depression. Post-mortem examinations revealed advanced stages of CTE in Boogaard's brain, surpassing even the severity found in Bob Probert, a former NHL enforcer known for his substance abuse issues who died at 45. Medical experts suggest that if Boogaard had lived as long as Probert, he likely would have experienced dementia. Shockingly, neither Boogaard nor Probert received treatment for CTE, depression, or addiction during their lives. These tragic cases underscore the urgency for the NHL to acknowledge the dangers of head injuries in hockey and prioritize player safety and well-being. The tragic deaths of NHL players like Rick Rippon and Wade Belak, both of whom battled depression, underscore the broader issue of mental health struggles within the league. Belak's suspected suicide in a Toronto hotel room near where he once played for the Maple Leafs further highlights the gravity of the situation. While the understanding of the relationship between head injuries and CTE among NHL players has evolved, it wasn't widely recognized in the past. Autopsies on notable players like Rick Martin, Henri Richard, Stan Mikita, and Reggie Fleming have revealed that they all developed CTE. Interestingly, only Fleming was considered an enforcer, suggesting that frequent concussions in hockey could be a contributing factor to the development of CTE, irrespective of a player's role on the ice. These findings emphasize the need for continued research and proactive measures to address head injuries and promote player safety in hockey. Without significant action from the NHL to address CTE, tragedies like Chris Simon's will likely continue, and future generations of enforcers may face similar fates due to repeated head trauma. Denying the clear link between head injuries and CTE or dismissing responsibility to address it will only harm the league's business, but also jeopardize the integrity of the game itself. It's imperative for the NHL to learn from other sports leagues like the NFL and take proactive steps to protect its players and preserve the future of hockey. Failure to do so could have far-reaching consequences for both the league and the sport. Thanks for joining us. Drop a comment below and share your thoughts. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more content from Beyond the Bench, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. See you in the next one.